This is Justin AMZN for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Let's look at the pre-market. We had a little bit of a gap up as the pre-market opened, and that's curved back down. That stayed above Friday's high and then rallied massively, pulled back into the 21, and then just shot up. And this was probably kind of difficult to buy right here, unless you're getting in pre-market or right here somehow at the open. I mean, it pulled back to a point that was right at the 21, right at the low was putting in, right before pre-market. But I mean, this huge candle, maybe a little bit of this pullback right here where there's a small indecision candle, getting in there at a breakout and then just playing it for 2R or something. But ran up, came up here, another indecision candle, another bearish one at a high. That's the highest high we've had in a while. Did a double top, rolled back down, retest the 21 from below, broke down. There was probably some bulls looking to get in here above this high. They were immediately trapped, pulled back, made a bearish engulfing, went sideways for 15 minutes, and then completely broke down, taking out the low of the day. What's interesting is it actually rallied from this hammer back up into the open price, came back down, inside candle doji, retesting this hammer, and then broke out. And then not just once, but twice came back down as a retest, really close to this hammer and just above, this indecision candle. So we had kind of this double bottom here into a bigger double bottom here, something like that. I mean, it's kind of hard to draw this as a double bottom, but I mean, there's still just some pullbacks, some rollovers that we were looking for, pushing it lower, and then it just broke out. These small candles just keep popping in here in key locations, right around the 21 here that couldn't get going. This one did. A really nice hammer here is an inside candle. Then, just a little bit of a pullback here. I mean, just really, really small stair step and then another breakout. And then this candle got us above this one from earlier. And then once again, it didn't go anywhere. It just kind of putzed around into the close. I mean, there was a little bit of movement in here, but the bigger moves happened, bullish opening in the day, the pullback, those bearish, and then the bounce from here too. And so the other thing I want to point out is this hammer down here, it put in a low of 1674.36, not quite as low as yesterday's high, Friday's high, but really, really close. Didn't quite come back down into 1665. Didn't quite get up to the 1714.50 today. But, in the bigger grand scheme of things, this was a really nice candle at a great place to have a pullback. It's the second bullish retest gap in a row. And this candle just totally solidifies that we are staying above these gaps. Shouldn't say these gaps, but this gap where this was that earnings or prior to earnings candle. This is the last time we're up, in this area. We shot on through, then we gapped down for earnings and really didn't sell off sharply. This was not a massively bearish move because we just pulled back a little bit and bounced. So all this momentum is built up. We have the squeeze that's fired. We've got increasing volume. Please, whatever you do, just be bullish on this. Buy in those pullbacks. Look for it to interact with these levels. If you're going to fade it, if you're going to play it bearish on a gap up, just make sure you got your risk defined. You're going to, scalp a little bit for a fade. Because the fades, I mean, some of these bullish retest gaps, they've not retested too much. Today was actually a really nice retest. And, some clear locations that you could have been getting in bearish for up here. I mean, even as low as right here where it's like, is this going to hold? What's going to happen? Bracket trading it and then got a nice gain out of it going down. Some of the moves it had with the 1700 call opened up just above 10, but then pulled back into 10, not quite here, but there were definitely people buying here who had bought here. Hopefully their stop was a little bit lower and could have been buying here 10 by 9 and again here 10 by 9. These two candles, 950 low, 945 low. Now the risk to reward is a little bit wide. It's a little bit more than a buck, but you could have been doing 10 by 9, which is one of my favorite setups and happens occasionally, but 10 by 9 would have made you 10R had you just held on. If you wanted it to get back up into some of these highs, that would have been at 18, so that would have been 8R. Had you gotten in on one of these smaller candles, this candle's range, less than $1. This candle's range, right at $1. So there's some small candles in here that could have worked out. There's even these up here. This candle's range is $63, and that was a bullish engulfing candle after it. I mean, even if you got in here, let's say 1625 by 1525, got in when it broke out, from 1625 up to 1825, that's 2R. And that worked. Or up to 1925, that worked also. So 2 or 3R, even from up here. On the puts, we put in some, so this is a 1650 puts. We put in some smaller candles at that new high on the stock. And anywhere in here could have been getting in like 3 by 2, especially after this candle pulled down and held. This is an easy trade to do 3 by 2 and just let it move a little bit. Even getting in bearish on these candles, doing like 450 by 350. I mean, there's a clear setup here, and it's already broken. Let's see. No, it hadn't broken. So let me zoom back into the day. Let's get a little tighter in here. And then let me minimize this. Nope, that's not the right way to do it. It's been a while since I've done this live. Not live, for recording. All right, ignore all the daily. That's really difficult to look at. Here's our move on the 5-minute. You can see once we got up in here, that's where the calls were petering out. Here's the calls, bottom left. Bottom right, as we were doing this, starting to double top, not quite getting up here, the puts were just kind of going sideways. Puts were going sideways all through this. And then even way over here, as the stock is going completely sideways, you could have been setting up a bracket trade to get in 450 by 350. And as this broke down and made a new low on the day, it did, let's see, the low here is 1684.53, 1684.20. So this candle didn't take out the low. This one did. But even with those moves, had you been in 450 by 350, if you gotten filled, it pretty quickly moved up. I mean, within 10 minutes, it was up like 750. So from 450, that's 3R in just a matter of 10 minutes. Comes right down to this hammer, and this is where you're looking like, well, that's a nice reversal pattern at a previous resistance from Friday. That's a good place to lock in some gains. And so hopefully there were some bears locking it in right here, and then gave back some of those, came right back into the put high from the open price, came right back into that. The low here is 563. The high here is 575. There were definitely people who were getting in at this price, knowing that that's how it was going to relate to the open. And in a matter of 5 minutes, made some R's, That's what's crazy about how this can move. If that's a real wick, I guess I should say that. And that's, again, the put side. Like, we had a good bearish move. I won't say bearish move, I guess, because it was bullish today. The candle was bullish. It was a bullish retest. This is a really nice retest. This is a really nice S-curve. It would have been stronger had we gotten up a little bit higher. But, I mean, we'll see where we're going. It'd be great to get any kind of pullback. If we can come back into 1665, hover there for a day, 2. I don't know that the squeeze will reform, but I mean, if we can get a little bit of resting, even the inside candle, that, I mean, it could really mean this thing's just going to skyrocket. As it's going, it could skyrocket. I mean, look at this increased volume. The squeeze is fired. You know, if this is bar 1 out of 10, I mean, we could get pretty high. We could easily get into the 1800s. Then we'd be, you know, right back into the lows from the all-time high, essentially. I mean, high 1800s is in range on this. If this truly is a breakout, which everything from this line says it is, the next resistance would be up here, kind of just above where we are. The high on this candle is 1736.41. So we'll get back into this range and see, is any more of this going to act as resistance, or has this weighted enough that it's, you know, it's got enough momentum behind it to keep it going. Those are some of the questions we'll see. But like I said, be bullish on this unless something drastic happens, like a bearish gap and go way down here. That's really the only thing that could slow this down at this point. I mean, something could slow it down, some sideways movement. But that would trap so many people if it gapped down here that, you know, it would have to push down at least to this downtrend channel. So look for more bullish candles. Just be patient for them. You know, what was setting up today was working. Let's look back at a few days last week. Oh, look, a double bottom off of a known support. Double bottom off of a known support. And here we are today, double bottom, and maybe not a known support, but really, really close to a value that we had as a resistance yesterday. There was more double bottom than here. There's more than just those two, right? Yeah, double bottom here, double bottom here, double bottom here. So that's kind of been the pattern lately. Double bottoms, double tops, you know, giving it that second try. And I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on everything that's going on with these moves. And we'll see what tomorrow holds. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is Just AMZN.